is not now politics. This is now legal and has consequences. That's the only way we'll bring sanity to our electoral processes.
And Wakili, I'll give you an opportunity to respond to that also. But first, let's also hear from the chairperson of the Defense Intelligence and Foreign Relations Committee. He has ideas on how we should deal with protesters that are violent.
Na mimi nataka niseme na nishukuru Rais William Samoei Ruto. Wakati jana umesema shoot but do not kill. I want to repeat it here. In fact, shoot and kill. You cannot have someone coming after your life and you do not want to shoot and kill. You cannot have someone who is going to terrorize you and your family and you are telling me you cannot shoot and kill. You cannot have someone who is coming after your businesses armed and with weapons and you want to tell me that you cannot use shoot and kill.
What do you make of that?
Criminal. In a serious constitutional setting, Mheshimiwa Koech would have been arrested and arraigned in court. End of story. I know we say you have the liberty to say everything that can enter your imagination, but subject to the Constitution. If an elected leader unashamedly reinforces the shoot and kill order, you know, it just sparks of a worrying trend of extrajudicial killings. Because what is shoot and kill? In between, granted, even assuming that his conversation is right, but in between there's a possibility he could shoot and kill an innocent protester. That is not how to test the limits of the law, and let government not be frustrated by protesters, so that you are reactionary. No, that's not. So we condemn that. In respect to Mheshimiwa's sentiments on election rigging, I'm particularly pleased by IEBC's swift response. It is that swift response that reassures the country that IEBC has all hands on deck and is in control. Because the unintended communication is that there are other political leaders, external forces, that are capable of pulling strings on the commission. And that does injustice to the commission. Because I said, Sam, people, law, technology will drive this election. And if you talk like that, you deny yourself the legitimacy as a commission. If you entertain if those utterances go uncondemned, you inadvertently deny yourself the public support. So that was a good move on the part of the commission. Insofar as technology is concerned, because we've not commented on it, I see time is running out, I want to assure Kenya that I've done these election petitions, and I was in the 2022 presidential election petition as part of the legal team for IEBC. And I can tell you, the Supreme Court does not play games. They are demanding quick and swift answers on how technology was deployed to enhance transparency and accountability. And if you look at the proposed amendments to election technology regulations, I saw a curious provision there that results must be relayed within 2 hours. I don't know about the practical implication of that, Mheshimiwa. Please kindly look at it, look into it. There may be challenges, but in reality, since elections are finalized in the constituency, at the polling station and in the constituency, these claims of rigging are significantly reduced. Because how do you want, because IEBC has a portal that uploads results real time. IEBC is required by law to supply candidates and also to display on the door, Sam. I mean, on the door, the outcome of that, the result of that election in that polling station. Then you aggregate. So really, Kenyans must know.
Unless there's collusion at the polling station.
Yeah, unless there's collusion. But you see, how will collusion happen? Unless you don't have, Mheshimiwa, can you please have your agents? You can't be running as a candidate. You don't have agents in the polling station. Then you want to go. I mean, look, personal responsibility. The polling station has the election officials, it has observers, it has agents. Put in your agent. You cannot rig, practically speaking, and I want Kenyans to be assured, it is extremely difficult to rig. And if you want to rig elections, there's I like reading a paper by a gentleman called Daniel Kalingat on election rigging and how to fight it. It says election rigging will not happen on the D-Day. It will be layered. You know, like Mheshimiwa's comment, if looked at broadly in terms of electoral governance, it can discourage potential opposition to the current administration. Look, they're already winning. That can then create voter apathy.
Yeah.
So that can work. And as a tool for political propaganda, you can't stop that. We can put checks. You remember Joe Mucheru in the lead up to 2020 election. I think he was the ICT minister at that time.
He was.
He kept on reading very disturbing stuff. He said, look, I'm the ICT minister, I control the data, and so far Raila is winning. I think he said it more than, one of those instances, he said it in this show. They have the numbers. And as it is, the numbers look good. So that kind of posturing, the collateral benefit, the illegalities notwithstanding, is that it can suppress voter turnout. Yeah. Because if you believe you're losing, why come out to vote? Yeah. So that's what the public needs to know. But in reality, election rigging, where technology is at the center of election management, is an extremely difficult and expensive affair.
But it may also go the other way, because the supporters may believe, this guy is winning, so he's already won. I
mean, that's the kind of propaganda even happens in the US. I mean, that's permitted. But let's be responsible.
Yeah.
For the commission particularly, I'm not entirely convinced, listening to Mheshimiwa, that the political class supports the commission.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they should. Support does not mean interference or external interference or manipulation. Remember, the way to kill a commission is to debrand it, defund it, then you defang it. Now, he commented on defunding of the commission. Why should an electoral commission beg for resources? They wrote to Treasury requesting for funds for the limitation. Treasury simply ignored. There was no approval from the political wing of government. He says he doesn't know, if you heard him. So what else? Has that mindset changed? Are we going to have to see the National Assembly supporting the commission to get the kind of resources it needs? Are we going to see, because remember last election, Sam, even procurement of election material, IEBC had to beg for money. When was the money released for election management?
Okay.
The election operation plan requires IEBC today to have the full funds.
To be frank,
yeah.
I think I can answer. I can say something
Go
on
ahead.
that. Number one, the last term, we had issues even on the floor of the House, because there were divisions this way and that way, and there was everybody doing whatever it was. I may not have been keen on justice and legal affairs that time. I wasn't the chairman. I was just a member, and they say it was very little because they used to surprise us because they had the numbers. But today, as we speak, we've just done budget for this year, and we've allocated huge sums of money to IEBC so that it's able to start the electoral process step by step now, with a reservation for them next year and the final year. Enough money for them to do the election without having any.
How much money are they getting this year?
If you need to remind me, because I have to check, but we actually allocated money for everything they have to do this year. It is actually staggered so that next year they have more, but it is all shown how much it's going to be, and in our estimation is IEBC is going to be very well funded so that it is able to conduct the by-elections that are looming. Number two, it has to start the electoral process, including a restart of the continuous voter registration, which had stopped because it says it is only the commission that can register. And that's where the problem is, and we are grappling with the law, whether really some of these things should not be done by the commission's secretariat, because to continuously register voters, we don't see why commissioners ought to have been there. But when you read the law, it says it is the commission that is to continuously do it. So as we look at that law, we must also look at the funding of IEBC to ensure that it is not defunded, it is not starved of money. Whatever is required, IEBC must do it, and it must maintain its independence.
Because I'm looking at the program-based budget book for 2025-2026. I think there were a few amendments that were made, but before those amendments, it was at 9.6 billion shillings of funding. Usually, to run its affairs, it needs about 4 to 5 billion shillings. Yeah. So that's an extra.
Actually, it is true, because we give them about 4.3, 4.5 billion.
Yeah.
But now you see it has gone up because we are aware of what they have to do.
But then, Chairman, IEBC says it requires 61 billion shillings to conduct that election.
Yeah.
And it appears that only about 4 billion shillings are coming in for the
This year,
yeah.
yes.
Yet they have so much work to do.
Next year is even more. Now it's preparations.
Yeah.
It's actually internal. It's in-house. Next year it's going to be practical, real. Apart from the by-elections that they are going to do and the restarting of the continuous voter registration, much of it may not be visible to us.
Okay.
The contracts will be gotten into next year when they have possibly to buy new KIMS kits. They have to do all these things that have to be done. And then the final bit is in 2027.
Okay. Are you satisfied, Prof, with the financing of the commission?
I think now that we have a commission, one of the things that I'm hoping the commission will also do is to look at the budget and engage the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. For me, I think I would not be too much worried about the amounts of money they have gotten. They have gotten some money, they are in, let's start engaging, especially because we also know we have a very constrained physical space. So I think it's not one of the things that worry me. What worries me much more is not the money. What worries me much more is the time that is required to deal with the legal amendments. That for me is, I think, the most critical thing, because that's where the rubber will meet the road. Because there's quite a lot of work that's required, and they need a stable legal framework. So that worries me. But the money, I'm happy they have some money. Definitely, like all other public agencies, the money they've gotten is less than what they need, but that's something they can now be able to engage with the Parliamentary Budget Office and be able to see that they can get more money in supplementaries.
Chairman, there's a question that Steve raised about campaign financing, and this has been a thorn since, I think, 2013. In 2022, it was defeated in a very interesting manner in a session chaired by then Speaker Justin Muturi. What are you doing differently this time?
We actually have the Act itself. There is a Campaign Financing Act, which is in force.
So the
regulations have always had a problem. That is the problem we have.
No, parliamentarians have always had problems with the regulation.
No, we are the ones who make the law. And we are the ones who look at what has come before us and we say this is like this is like that. I know for sure before 2017, we tried to implement the Act without regulations. And there was a problem with that. They said there are many gaps that needs to be filled in through subsidiary legislation. That was before 2017. After 2017, the regulations came to Parliament and they had issues including public participation, and some of the provisions that were in those regulations looked ultra-vires the main Act. So that is the reason they were defeated. They have not been reintroduced, possibly, but they are going to come again with the commission that is now in place, and we shall look at them with an open mind so that we see whether they comply.
Are you sure about that? Okay.
Sam, can you allow me to plead with Mheshimiwa that before he stops becoming chair of JLAC and goes to run in Tharaka Nithi, can he be able to bequeath the country an effective campaign legislative framework? Let us not have the, the regulations were late, blah, blah. Let him just make a commitment that I will do whatever it takes for us to have regulations.
As follows. As a member of Parliament, I do commit. As the chairperson of JLAC, I do commit. But regulations are not going to come to JLAC. Remember, we have a committee known as the Committee on Delegated Legislation. Regulations are its delegated legislation. If it were the Campaign Financing Act itself...
But you oversight IBC, don't you?
No, we don't oversight that. It's independent.
You don't oversight IBC?
I oversight IBC,
that's what I'm saying.
But the regulations will not be brought to us.
Yeah, but if they don't come, you have a question to raise.
They will be taken to delegated.
For sure.
And delegated is going to act independently.
For sure.
They will look at them. If they reject them...
If IBC doesn't bring regulations, whose work is it? So they do.
It is for Justice and the Legal Affairs Committee to ask them to...
Which you chair?
Which I chair. And first I have to hear them why they are not bringing the regulations. All right? We have to know the reasons why they are not doing it. Once they bring them, they don't come to us. They go to the Committee on Delegated Legislation. It is the one in charge of scrutinizing, ensuring that all the factors in the Statutory Instruments Act are complied with.
By the way, what was the big issue with the other regulations?
One was public participation. That was the biggest issue. According to the Committee on Delegated Legislation, in which I sat at that time, there had been no adequate public participation, including members of Parliament had not played a role in promulgating those regulations. So that's why they went. All right?
Is that how the process works?
That's how the process works.
That's not entirely true, because you can Google this and it's public information available on Google. Because I assisted IBC to develop those regulations. They were taken, for the first time, they were taken to the National Assembly around July 2015.
Yeah.
the Committee on Delegated Legislation had comments on it, which then, upon review, the 2016 regulation was then submitted in March. From March 2016 until December, Parliament convened. Remember, they were already on recess. Yeah. They convened specifically to vote to deny IBC the chance to regulate campaign finance. They said, no, we have problems with these regulations. They will not be applicable in this election. In 2022, again, you remember, it always happens in December, the last December preceding the next election. Yeah. December 2021, again, the committee looked at the regulations, which had been pending there for more than 5 years, and said, you know what, they're not good enough, return them, so they're not going to apply. So what I would urge IBC to do is this. IBC is already taking low blows from every corner. They don't need to be exposed to criticism when it comes to campaign financing regulations. Let them resubmit, because Parliament keeps on saying, the ones you submitted, we rejected. So resubmit again. To let them resubmit those regulations and wash their hands off this thing. Yeah. Then let Kenyans begin to pile pressure on the Committee on Delegated Legislation. But I like what Mheshimiwa said. His committee is critical to implementation of these election laws. If the commission is not performing, quote unquote, its work, they have a mandate to summon the commission. Let them do so.
Okay, all right. And of course, it's been easy to pass regulations for SHIF, regulations for housing, and so many other laws that Parliament has passed. Just this one on campaign financing.
Purely because...
Never goes through, sorry, Javan, you've had your time.
They were compliant.
Never really goes through public participation. But remember how long it took to do public participation, to remove Rigathi Gachagua, or even to pass the NGCDF laws. It was possible, and the members of Parliament were involved about campaign financing. Now, that's our time. I wish I had more time to take a look at some of the feedback that you've shared with us, but we'll continue to process them. And the conversation continues because it is everyone's business to be concerned about the running of our elections and, of course, the arbiter of democracy, in this case, IBC. Thank you so much, Wakili Steve Ogolla, Professor Collins Odote, as well as Chairman Gitonga Murugara, Chairman of JLAC. My name is Sam Gituku. See you again some other time. Up next is Sporty Monday with the action of the weekend. Bye for now.